Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings. Close, but not really close to inmendham. Something like that. Anyway, I should work this out. So many details to work out in my transition to a different life. Anyway, just, 600 video. 600th a week of a what the fuck anyway. Yes, milestones, who cares? It is, I guess it's something that happens to your brain to, organize things in chunks that you can deal with, and round numbers somehow matter and all that kind of crap. And, it's even, I'm on the cusp of 60 years old. Just an insane number, from my perspective. Just, no accounting for it. Didn't think that would happen to me. Thought I'd have a plan, exit appropriately and all that. But it's just, it's a practical matter. It's never a good day. There's always uncleaned things and messes left behind and stuff to deal with, and it just never works out. But anyway, it's a side subject, sort of peripheral, let's just say. Speaking of peripheral, I got some little floater in my eye, one of those, things that happens to you when you start to die. Well, you wouldn't know, but some of you would know. They degrade. So, I'm like constantly swatting a fly that isn't there. But anyway, that's my problem. So my problems are going to come up now and then. It's just the way it works, as I have them. And, I'm participating, so, I guess you could also just drag your problems into comments and stuff, but, whatever. So anyway, I did plan on doing something different and interesting, as a milestone, but I didn't. So, it's didn't even realize what day it was, really. I mean, it snuck up on me, sort of thing. But anyway, who cares? So I'll read some comments. There was a comment on the draft physics channel from Dave, the Highlander guy from way back, and it just always reminds you how different even YouTube is. So it's like this change thing happens all the time, and we just adapt to the new circumstance and endeavor to persevere, and that's all you can do. So that's what I'm doing. But anyway, so if you don't, the Highlander guy was kind of a funny story. So he got involved in some drama with a couple of chicks, and then he became a chick Christian or something. That's when I was like, see ya. Became totally disinterested. But anyway, just one of those life story things, going from his transition from his youth to his maturation, and how we all fuck that up, and are impervious to advice and all that kind of shit. Be nice to be able to go back in time and tell myself, you're fucking up, because I might believe me, if I showed up and told myself you're fucking up, I may have paid attention. Maybe. Probably. I think so. It's just, even contemplating such things is just so bizarre, just make, if you thought about it, you say, it's like an idea for a movie, and you say, oh yeah, but if I really try to do that, it's impossible. Just because it gets too weird, in terms of what would you really do if you met yourself, Anyway, just, having a conversation with yourself from different times. I knew you were going to say that. I mean, anyway. I guess they're good little things to play with in terms of thoughts. Perhaps, maybe. I don't know. But speaking of the Draft Physics channel, which I'll point out, Draft Science on YouTube, there should be a link somewhere. If it isn't somewhere, it should be somewhere. But anyway, I just, I made a video that, it was a draft video, you can call it draft, and the ratings just suck. The worst ever, almost. I mean, there was actually more negative votes than positive votes at one point, but there's so little that it doesn't really matter. It's like 5 and 6 or something, some terrible kind of numbers. And in my opinion, it's like it's almost a milestone video in the sense that I finally kind of just put together the whole why all these things are related. Magnetism, electricity, charge, and whatever the other one is, heat, and all of that stuff, energy, period. And it's transition going through surfaces and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of, it's the hint of the truth, in my opinion. It's just so obvious that's the way it is. And the crap they've been selling you is just crap. Anyways, so it's like, you're saying, people are just so fucking stupid. I mean, even people who don't hate me, watching the video, and they can't even, do anything. That they're too clueless. They can't understand any of it. And I think I put it in pretty, simple terms. I think the more you understand about physics, the more you'd get, hey, this answers so many questions, about why we don't see certain things and why we see certain things. But anyway, so yeah, it was just another stab in the head saying, why are you attempting communication with these, it's like the flying pig things. These pigs will never fly. I mean, they just can't, they're not capable. And you keep talking about, you're trying to explain to them how to fly, and they just don't, they don't have wings, they just aren't going to be able to do it. So why are you wasting your energy in this pursuit? And again, my answer is always, well, what else do you have? There's nothing else to do. Except blow your brains out or, whatever. Stab yourself multiple times with a marker that doesn't work very well. Dry erase. Expo. They suck. Don't buy Expo. They suck. Anyway. So, where was I? Alright, so, yeah, so it's just more of the same crap where you're just saying, people are just so fucking stupid. I mean, belligerently so. I mean, they just won't be reasoned with. And so I was thinking about my youth in terms of, I couldn't be reasoned with, I guess, to some extent. I had some ideas that were just plain wrong, and I was kind of devoted to them. And so I can understand being stupid. But I was a kid, so, once you get into your 20s or something, you start getting a little humble about what you know, because you start seeing that, oh, I was wrong about that, wasn't I? And I was wrong there, too, yeah. You've made a few mistakes in life, and you're not as confident that every thought that arises in your head is brilliant. You realize that, sometimes I think things for completely self-serving purposes. I want them to be true, so I make them true. I don't even know if that's, I want them to be true is where you should just end the sentence. I want them to be true, so they end up being true. Whether I make them true or not I don't really do that. But I might have some rationalizations to defend what I'm saying, blah, 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 all that kind of crap. And that they were you're just making excuses. You're just grasping at bullshit to try to force it to be right. So you can think of those kind of things in the commentary on the whole human species and its whole, the capacity of it ever to rise above the shit that it is, and the fact that the lowest common denominator, drags us down. The imbeciles breeding at a higher rate than the intellectuals is, just kind of have doom written all over it. Idiocracy is the only rational vector, that human beings can head for, in terms of just the mechanics of it, and that's just so disappointing. It's like every game we create, the, the guy who plays strictly by the rules is going to lose. And that's the way, we've engineered the world, because human beings are cheaters, connivers, manipulators. That's what they do. They're like squirrels getting to the bird feeder. It's not a squirrel feeder, and they're just deciding they're going to turn it into a squirrel feeder, and and they're just using all their ingenuity to figure out how to do that. And humans are self-serving jackasses the same way, and they'll steal the bird food. They'll steal anything from anybody, as long as they can rationalize that they've done something fair or honorable by some kind of bizarre rationalization that says it's okay for me to cheat because everybody else is cheating. Well, it's true that you're going to lose if you don't, but let's not pretend it's a good idea. Lie about it. So, I don't know. So I can read comments. I was going to maybe draw something to kind of emphasize a point or something, but we'll see if I do any of that. So my enthusiasm gets low, and so it's kind of unfortunate that I have very low enthusiasm for this project on a milestone video. That's just a bad coincidence. That the two things met at the wrong time. The destructive interference or whatever. So we're stuck with maybe comments or something, and maybe I don't even like comments. I don't really want to make a video, because I'm just sitting here saying, okay, you can't reason with people. I mean, facts, who cares? They're just going to sit there and keep believing in their UFOs and their bullshit life that they're going to have in some utopian heaven or some other kind of horse shit, and they're going to just keep going through these rituals. Well, we've been doing it this way for 1,000 years, and so we're just going to keep doing it this stupid way, because we can't learn. All we can do is mimic. Maybe if aliens showed up who were doing it right, like being smart and stuff, then we try to imitate the smart people, the aliens. But there's just nothing on Earth to imitate, because the intellectuals are all a bunch of nihilist, selfish cunts too, and they just make better excuses for their selfishness and their greed. So I was thinking about that in the whole commerce thing, and how people are just so stupid. They want somebody to sell them something, and they don't even have the reasoning skills to know, well, you're paying the salesman's salary. You're paying it. The customer's paying it. Okay, you're not only paying, you got to pay the profits, you got to pay to build the building, you got to pay to heat the building, you got to pay to put the crap on the shelves, you got to pay the people who have to do that, you have to pay to bring the carts back into the store. You got to pay people to do all this shit. And they don't even think, they don't even know that, so every time I make work for one of those people, I'm basically saying, charge me more money for the stuff I'm buying. Every time I force the store to comply to my needs, and be air conditioned, and be this and be that and be all this crap, you're paying all those bills. Is that what you want to be doing? I don't want to be doing that. The advertising works with people, and it's like advertising tells me this company's got too much money. They're charging too much, because look at all these ads they can waste money on. No, make the product cheaper. Okay, you don't need to fucking, every human being has already seen the ad at least 600 times. So I think you've done enough, persuasion. And if you have to persuade people that hard, the product must suck. If you have to work that hard to sell it. That kind of logic. And you're just saying, we haven't even gotten past that. People still think this is somehow logically makes sense, is to finance things with advertising. So it's essentially a tax on anybody buying anything, because you're forcing everybody to go, pick me, pick me. You're using that standard. And so you're basically just saying, squeaky wheel gets grease. instead of having some kind of rational way to figure out which wheel needs the grease, you know. So, you know, and then if you talk like that, oh, you're a communist, you want to control things. Yeah, I want, you know what I want to control things? An efficiency test. I mean, I want the survival of the fittest to mean survival of the nicest and most honest and of highest integrity. Yeah, I want there to be standards, rational standards, not irrational ones. You know, I believe in evolution, you know, and some sort of mechanism. But yeah, they can't see. It's always got to be turned into some black and white argument. You know, that there's this crappy chaos and order is Nazis. Yeah, and you know, they can't have a rational conversation about, no, you can do this, you know, incentive thing. You can, you know, pay people more for doing better or more complex work. You just don't have to have some kind of silly lottery system where all the money goes to 10 people, you know, instead of paying all the people that did something constructive, that kind of thing. This whole Hollywood celebrity economy, it's just so fucking stupid. Winner take all. Just no, it's not rational. It's not a rational incentive program. The lottery, it's not going to get you. You know, a lottery system is going to get you a lot of participation, but it's not going to get you the quality you want of the winner. Yeah, kind of thing. That's a waste to argue it. I'm just saying there's efficiency as the thing you're after, and there's certain things that define efficiency, and those are the things we should be after. It's like you know, you can't even have these conversations with people. They're so stupid. I mean, you can't, you know, you could explain to them how, you know, stores, you really shouldn't be going to the store. Each individual human being goes personally to the store in their personal conveyance device and all that kind of crap. Everything should be delivered. And if we just had a system that recognized that it's so much more efficient to have one vehicle make all the trips than to have a bunch of vehicles make a bunch of redundant back and forth trips. It's just so much more efficient. But anyway. But everything, it's just the solar panels on roofs. Nobody gets it? How can nobody understand it? This is just an insane waste of money. You know, I mean, here you are trying to save the planet with your green technology that isn't in green anyway. But let's just say it was, and you're going to waste money subsidizing it, and you can't even figure out that you're throwing half that money away. I mean, you know, in terms of the value you're throwing away just because you're doing it the wrong way instead of the right way. And you're doing it in a way that makes things ugly and causes damage, you know, and has other huge liabilities. So it's more than 50% of the value. You're just throwing away. It's like you made 200,000 solar panels and then you sat there with a hammer and smashed half of them. And said, I am doing rational social engineering. You know, because I'm doing capitalism. Yes, great, fantastic. So it just makes me keep, you know, every time you think of one thing, you think of some other inefficiency, you know, some story in the paper where you know, I accidentally heard about where, you know, this local town where I now am, not inmendham, you know, is buying some piece of shit house that's, you know, dilapidated on a little tiny piece of property because it'll make the walkway through the park a little straighter. You know, but they're paying this insane amount of money, like $500,000. Even if the house was a good house, it isn't worth that, right? You couldn't sell it on the open market for that. And they're going to buy it and tear down the house. So it's not even like they're going to spend this insane amount of money, but then they're going to tear down the only thing that possibly could have any value on the property, which is the house, and to make a little tiny lot that they'll put a sidewalk through. I mean, it's so irrational. You're just saying, so you're taxing me for that? So you can throw money, just piss it away, giving some, I mean, it's payday for some idiot who owns this piece of crap property, right? This thing that was foreclosed and this over all these years, it wasn't worth anything. And all of a sudden it's worth something. It's not really worth anything. It's only worth something because some sucker is willing to pay an insane price for it. You're just saying, how? There's things that shouldn't be this broken. It can only be this broken because people are belligerently retarded. So depressing. Alright, so yeah, I'm depressed now, so I'll take a break. And I'll be back. See how I can do that. I can pause. Just fuck you. I'm going home. But I'll probably be back. I'm going to my happy place and such. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so since I have this, I figure I should draw on it. And so I will. So I'll do the, just because I think there's some religious crap in the comments, so I might as well just do something to point out how ludicrous that whole theory is. So we have this, and the Piro thing too. This is, Piro's an idiot. So we have this thing we call life. That's what we're doing, these biological organisms. And the thing people don't really get is that, we call these little cells, single little cell with a, little nucleus. And that's part of the evolution thing, right? I mean, that's based on a cell that didn't have one, that was just a membrane, basically, that held the little bits of crap that interacted to create the little DNA molecule to maintain it and reproduce it. And so then it, branched into these two forms, stuff with a nucleus and stuff without. And then you go through these different evolutions of other kinds, and each one of these things that happens, like eyeball, you could say, eventually you branch off and you get an eyeball, and you can see, and the other branches don't do that. You can sort of understand like that only happens. I think there's 7 or 5 different creations of a different mechanism for detecting light, let's just say. But each one of these divisions happens, and some of them are just decisive, in the sense of, the transition from one to the other is a clear difference, like nucleus, no nucleus. And it only happened once. I mean, there's only one branch. So out of all the time that this stuff has been squiggling around, so you could say a billion years or whatever, 400 million years, let's just say, that this stuff has been squiggling around, it only did this branching thing once successfully. I mean, it didn't branch like there's not a third branch that has a different kind of nucleus. It's all the same. It's always this kind. Everything's based on this. Just like everything's based on this chromosome having certain amino acids and certain arrangements. And even though there's a ton of this crap all over the earth for 400 billion years, this stuff never found a different squiggle or a little different combination, just move this little amino acid out of here and move it to here. None of those ever happened successfully to create anything that branched or did anything, that even existed, that even survived with the new configuration. And it theoretically should have. So we're, the point being is that the fact that we exist is based on all of this, like rolling, like you're rolling dice and you roll snake eyes 600 times in a row. I mean, it's just a huge improbability to get to this complexity thing in the first place. It's not, you people hoping for crap in the rest of the universe. You got no hope that it's going to be anything but what you see in the ocean, which is the smartest thing that came from the ocean is still like a shark or an octopus. That's the best it did. It didn't create any frickin' Klingons or anything. There's nothing happened in there. It's a complex environment. The only smart things came, evolved on land and then went back into the water. So evolution didn't go anywhere most of the time. Most of the time it just makes bugs that can't sing and dance. And then again, we're just bugs that sing and dance. Well, anyway, this isn't really the point I wanted to get to. The point I want to get to is, this stuff, we call this alive. You know, these little cells that might have a little squiggle on it, like a sperm cell or something. And we say, oh, it's a living thing. You know, well, yeah, but not. You know, so anyway, so this stuff is one kind of life, right? And none of this stuff does anything fancy, right? So you have like a paramecium or some sort of single-celled bug, okay, microbe, and it just has parts. You know, it just has a big mouth part and has a big ass part and has some squigglies to make it move, but it's just reactive. It's so obviously just a mechanical device. Like we could make a little mechanical spider that looks like a spider. It's just a machine, a little machine. An input comes in and output goes out, and it just does this little simple reflexes, a bunch of little knee jerks. And idiots will sit there and just keep trying to say, oh no, it wants to survive, it wants to live, the sperm cell wants to go somewhere, it's hungry, it's thirsty, it's all this. It's just fucking bullshit. This thing can't even evolve because it doesn't have its own, like all these other cells have their own DNA, you know, their own little nucleus full of their own DNA molecules. This thing's just carrying half the DNA of a human. It doesn't even have its own. So it can't even evolve. It can't go through some mechanism to get better and survive and all that kind of crap because it has no personal investment in the outcome. You know, the only way this thing could evolve is that, you know, two men have to use the same woman, you know, in the same time kind of thing, and then the sperms of the different males can compete or something. But this competition can never be recorded as a victory for a certain genetic code, because the same code that made this sperm made this every other one that's in the race. They all were made by the same male, and so their complement of DNA isn't going to be any different in terms of they have no DNA that made them special. What made them special or different was just how hot was it the day this one was made versus this one was made, or how old it is. Is this one 3 weeks old and this one's only 4 days old, and so it's physically in better shape, some kind of crap like that. But anyway, this, you know, I don't want to get this much evolution. Well, anyway, so you have this world of cells, only created as its most magnificent creation, okay, from the single-celled organism, again, something like a paramecium, something that has a little, you know, has a couple little parts, has a little eyeball maybe, you know, that can sense daylight, and it has an ass, and it has maybe little fins, you know, little squigglies to make it move. But it just doesn't have much, and it certainly doesn't have anything called a brain organ, you know, that, you know, composes plans and strategies. You know, hey, that paramecium's out of the house, I'm gonna go, you know, nail his bitch. You know, he doesn't. They don't have any ambitions. They don't have any desires. They don't have anything. They're just bugs. So anyway, these bugs, okay, the ones that aren't quite as fancy as this one, you know, less fancy, are all, you know, so that's a living thing. But we're just made of a bunch of those living things. Okay, now the cells of our body, generally speaking, yeah, they don't have much mobility. They don't have a lot of things they can do because they don't have to, right? The blood the heart pushes them around. It creates a whole environment for them, so they don't have to waste energy on having squigglies on them. They don't have to have a whole bunch of complex stuff. They just let the nutrients are delivered to them, so they can just stay in one place and just do their little job here. If I make this, I make a sugar, or I take in certain things and I excrete other things. And so the cells of the liver take in one kind of thing and excrete something else, and the kidneys are doing something else, and this is, they're all just doing some little job they've been made to do. But this, you know, you put a whole bunch of this crap together, and this is what you get. This is, we also call this complex thing made up of a whole colony. So this is like, you know, it's like the difference between bricks. You can say these are bricks, and then they're put together and make a building, all right? And we're calling the bricks life, and we're calling the building life, and the two things are completely different. I mean, our whole experience as a thing being alive is completely different than this. We don't have a nucleus. I don't have a nucleus. I don't have DNA molecules in a round thing in the middle of me, and I'm not, absorbing. I'm not a frickin' cell. So why do we have a word to describe this? Well, we have that word because obviously the people invented our language didn't know this shit existed. They were completely ignorant of what we were made out of. So, they used a word for a living thing that's, just wasn't complete enough as a concept, and clearly wasn't complete enough to understand that you have to separate. You have to have a clear division between this cellular living thing, and a multicellular organism, and understanding that they really don't have anything in common. I mean, brick and building doesn't have, there's nothing really common except maybe the shape. Okay, a building can sort of look like a big giant brick, but I mean, there's just nothing the two things have in common, the brick and the building. They're just not, you can't call them the same thing and be doing something fair or rational or reasonable, right? Right. I mean, come on. So it's not a big argument, and it's an argument I've already made, many times, but it's a starting point to understanding that the distinction between this thing, the core of life, this stupid DNA molecule, and us, the distance between the two is so great. I mean, this thing's the controlling mechanism in terms of the design of this thing, but this complex thing, is functioning as a system, and it's a different kind of system entirely, except for the fact that it takes in inputs and it produces outputs. Like, you get the input of my logic and reasoning, and you have the output of belligerent fucking stupidity. I don't think so. Fuck you. You're not thinking right if you don't think so. So anyway, I don't know if I need to say more on that. It's an excuse to draw a picture, a bad picture. So I did it. So I can do that. I can make excuses to do things. I think we'll change this. All right, so I guess we'll just do comments and then get the hell out of here, and hope for better next time. 601 is a much better number. 666 will be fun, right? So we only got 66 weeks to go. I should be able to muster some passion to do something interesting for that. No, I'm really, seriously, I do want to make better videos. It's just, my life is a little fluxy. I'm settling still. It's like after the earthquake, and I just got too much stuff to get cleared up and deal with. But I have always made excuses, so I am sorry about that. I'm busy, frankly. Mostly. It's it's not easy being me. It's all this pressure you're putting on me. I really hate it. All right, you're not doing it. I'm obviously doing it. Yeah. So I'll concede some underperformance, but it really does feel like I'm doing the best I can. It feels like that. I know that sounds like a rationalization, but it feels like I'm doing the best I can. But anyway, regardless, I'm aware of the problem. I have to do better. Okay, got it. I understand. Alright. I just realized you are the best comedian of our time. Obviously that's just your opinion. Okay, and it's, maybe about 6 other people have that opinion. Fine. I mean, sense of humor is kind of another one of these fudgy things where there's no real logic to it. I have to concede that even people I thought were funny 20 years ago just aren't funny anymore. I mean, people like George Carlin don't even hold up from my perspective, and nobody's funny now. So it's like nothing's funny. Everything's not funny. In some sense, I am the only comedian I like. And why would that be true? Oh, there couldn't be a possible bias there, right? That this matches my subjective taste. It just conveniently is the way I like to eat my bananas or something, you know. I don't know. Just came to mind. See, everything always has some connection. I've been eating bananas lately, just because they were cheap. Anyway, a true artist, intellectual entertainer, and philosopher. Well, that's just disgusting combination of words, intellectual entertainer. But I suppose the intellect has some scrutiny, so it does. You could call having a standard entertainment. Like anything that doesn't meet the standard is unentertaining, and stuff that does meet the standard is entertaining. So I suppose you could play with that word in sense of the what irritates. Something non-irritating would be potentially entertaining. You know, so I suppose that could be true, and that stupidity could be very unentertaining, something like that. All right, so we'll let it pass. But whatever. Yes, obviously, your opinion, blah blah blah, and not enough people think so. So fuck you. I was thinking this morning that our society goes to great lengths to indoctrinate the youth regarding the story of the Son of God. I don't know if the society goes to that effort. Obviously, the individuals living their stupid, putrid, ignorant, dumbass fucker life, the little free human beings, you know, who are Borgs, little Borgers, you know, are indoctrinating their kids with that horse shit. And confusing them, you know, taking advantage of their ignorance and fooling them with completely silly stories about how you're gonna hurt your grandmother's feelings if you don't believe in God, or you know, you're gonna, you know, they just pile on a bunch of guilt and bullshit to try to make it seem like, you know, well, if you don't believe, you got to be retarded. You're not one of us, something like that. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, I frankly, you know, it's so many of these things I just can't relate to, because I'm just like, I could never buy. The story is so silly. How could you ever believe it? Hello, God, do you hear me? You put me here. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? Exactly. Why do you have all these silly rules? You know, you can't come up with a better 10 rules than these stupid ones. Love God. You know. Do what God says. You know, these are silly rules. You don't say anything anyway. You don't give any good advice. I mean, to do on to other things makes sense, but the next minute you're telling people, I'm going to send you to hell. Well, sending me to hell isn't a very nice thing to do. So why, you know, I wouldn't do that to other people. I wouldn't give them that silly choice, heaven or hell. I might have something, a lot of stuff in between, you know. A little bit of punishment. You do something a little bit wrong, I might have a little bit of punishment. I wouldn't send you to fucking hell. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the smartest thing in the world can't. The smartest, greatest thing in the universe ever pooed. This huge, brilliant brain that knows all and thinks all and blah 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 blah, and the best he can come up with is heaven or hell? Fuck you. Alright, yet almost no effort goes into telling young, well, I guess I should read the Son of God, who was executed and resurrected 2K years ago. Well, I mean, obviously lots of cultures invest in silly stories, and the different stories have different whatever resurrections and all that. I mean, even that stuff, that's the stuff that, you know, who's fooled by any of that crap? You know, it's just kind of silly, right? I mean, the whole story is just so silly, right? I mean, you have these apostles or disciples or whatever the fuck, and just about all of them betray Jesus in one way, form, or another, right? And you're saying these are the guys who saw him raise the dead, right? And they're not convinced. They're not fully convinced that, oh yeah, no, God will take care of me. I'm safe. The Romans can burn me. They can do anything to me. It doesn't matter because it's all part of God's plan. I ain't going to worry about it. I just give my life to God. And they can't even do it. They saw the miracles, right? The people with the Red Sea parted, right? Moses parts the sea and crushes all the soldiers. There's all this shit right before their fucking eyes. And a few years later, they're making golden bulls again and doing all kinds of wrong shit. You're saying, does this make any sense? No, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then they talk about these people like Moses wasn't convinced until he actually had a conversation with God. Well, why can't I get that? Right? I mean, why do I have to do the faith thing? So why do I have to do more work than Moses did? You know, if you're going to give Moses proof, why don't you give me proof? Why don't you let me turn a stick into a snake or something? Yeah, give me all superpowers, and then I'll buy your silly story. Fuck. Anyway. I'm just saying, this is just so fucking stupid. Telling young people about, okay, yet almost no effort goes telling young people about the negative aspects of reproduction. Well, just the responsibility of it. No one talks about the fact, well, if you're going to do a Frankenstein experiment, you know, where you're going to try to sit there and make a human being, and you know everything you do is going to matter, you can turn him into a sissy or a psycho killer or, you know, an obsessed macho man or any kind of crazy fuck you can turn him into, and it's just a fact, and it's all going to be your fault. And every dumbass, stupid fucking thing that asshole does in his life, he cheats on his wife, and he, you know, ignores his kids and doesn't, you know, all the little debaucheries he's going to be guilty of in the world. He could be a drunk driver and kill little innocent children, all kinds of shit. It's all your fucking fault. I mean, they could at least do that much, just to say it's going to be totally your fault, you know. Everything your prodigy does in the world, you know, it's your fucking fault. And you know it's more likely they're going to make a mess than they are going to cure cancer, right? A tiny percentage of the human beings do all the productive work, and the rest of them do all the eating and shitting. Yeah. Spinning around in circles. Getting paid to spin around in a circle. Getting paid to figure out how to steal somebody else's money. Or to, you know, it's like that mecha face stuff or whatever. I saw it on some, I don't know where I saw a reference to it. I said, that's still around? I mean, people are still being, you know, winked by that hood or whatever, or getting, you know, I mean, the whole idea of these are like guys who set fires, you know, and they're firemen, you know, it's like they're making their own industry, so they create the hacking problem so they can sell you the solution to the virus they made. You know, the people suck. So anyway, the ones you are touting every day. Well, I don't do it every day, but yes, go figure. I mean, yes, the figuring is, God damn it, people are just so fucking stupid. Shit. Alright, amid the recent hoopla about the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, I could not help being disheartened about any hope for any good to come out of humanity. Well, yes, humanity is nothing good can come out. We can only minimize the losses. You know, shit. Let's minimize how bad it gets or goes. We worked for 7 years doing all that science and spending all that money. And what happened when the astronauts saw Earth rise when orbiting the moon? The Earth, well, yes, when orbiting the moon. Okay, he was right. The Earth doesn't rise on the moon. It just always sits in the same place. So when you're on the moon, the Earth is always just sitting right up. It's over there. Just sits there all day. They quote that Bible stuff about in the beginning, what hope is there? Again, yeah, well, that's just placating the majority. So again, it's obviously a daunting circumstance. The majority of people are fucking goddamn idiocracy morons. I mean, they're just too fucking stupid to believe these silly nursery rhymes, and you know. And they don't believe it, which is the more disgusting part. It's like their brains are so conniving and scheming. They know that I'm such a shitty person in character. My fundamental character is so bad that if I didn't not believe in God, which they don't, They somehow, and so they're so stupid, and yet they're so arrogant and so full of themselves that they think other people are dumber than them, and they think, oh yeah, the other people believing in God who really don't believe in God, because none of these people believe in God. It's clear, right? It's clear that none of the people who say they believe in God actually believe in God. They have no faith whatsoever because their behavior demonstrates it, right? They're scared to death to die. They're they're panicked by anything that happens. They mourn, they weep, they do all this kind of crap that if you believed in God, it wouldn't bother you a bit. So there's absolutely no evidence they actually believe in this stupid, silly story. And they know that the complications of it are impossible to even worm out, just as Jesus had a problem answering the question, right? The guy comes up to him and says, well, look, my 3 brothers all got killed, and I took their wives on, because it's the right thing to do. They're getting fat and lazy and old, and somebody's got to take care of the bitches, so I took them on, So now I got 17 wives. Who am I going to heaven with? Because I don't want to drag all of those bitches up there too, So somewhere I got to get something out of this, right? Or some kind of, And this is an impossible question to answer. So Jesus just cops out and say, what you're doing here on earth doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing on heaven. What? What do you mean? I do? I'm all invested in this shit I'm doing here. What do you mean? I'm not even going to know who I am up there. So what the fuck? How am I living if essentially everything that's me is dead? All my memories, all the things that made me the character I have, everything is made out of my life's history, and all of that goes away. Oh, fuck you, stupid. It's such a stupid fucking story. Goddamn people. So anyway, there really is no hope, I have to say. And all we can do is endeavor to persevere. I mean, look, it's a long shot. But it's the only shot there is, so you gotta throw your freaking hook in the water kind of thing. Yeah, there's no fish that you can see. There's no chance of you catching dinner. But there's nothing else. All you got is the pond. Alright, life is hell. Humans are cockroaches that can sing and dance. Inmendham is a minich. I don't think I am, but whatever. He philosophizes with a hammer. Whatever. I'm not nearly as brutal as I could be. These are all facts. I don't know if they are, but whatever. Alright, the official God TV. Oh, Brett Keane. Brett, you're just such a little piece of scum. Doing your little promoting. Oh, if it's Friday and Saturday, I do a live podcast where I belch and fart and burp and say stupid stuff that I've been saying forever. It's the same old boring blah, 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 blah out of my big fat blah, 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 blah gob. Ugh. Yes, goodbye, Brett. Anyway. Again, you're just saying, I mean, what are these people's expectations? They believe in this almighty creator of the universe. He's claiming belief in it. And he thinks this almighty creator of the universe wants him, as his representative. Oh yeah, God loves it. Me, Brett Keane, is selling his story. I mean, there's no way he would let you be one of his salesmen. You gotta know that, Brett, right? You couldn't show up and sell Maseratis tomorrow. You know that, right? The Maserati's not looking for Brett Keane and saying, we gotta get a Brett Keane to sell our cars. You know that, right, Brett? Jesus Christ. Heart to you. Okay, well, that's simple enough. Something you might find interesting. No, probably not. Mathematical challenges to Darwin's theory of evolution. There's no mathematical challenge that can be in the scope of reason. And clearly, you certainly, if you could say 200 years ago you could make some sort of statistical challenges because you were, why there are no missing links and different things like that. But, once Gould fixed that with the punctuated equilibrium, and once you do a little bit of thinking about how evolution actually takes place and that it has to happen in small populations, it can't happen in large populations. I'm just surprised they didn't teach me that when I was a kid, because it's such an obvious point to make. Is you're talking about this genetic code stuff and making a deviant survivable. And it's just kind of obvious that the deviant's not going to, he's pretty good. If there are 4 kids and one of them is a deviant and you only got 4 other competitors, well, you got a pretty good chance the deviant might survive, you know, genetically. But if the deviant's competing against 6 million, you know he's going to get washed out, diluted by the herd. So you know that big populations don't evolve, little ones do. Some sort of defect. What the hell was that? Well, anyway, I'll pick at it later. It's always something. Probably turn into some kind of tumor. Potential tumor area. So some sort of GIF of it. Should we go? No. Won't bother. How much can it hurt? I want your ass. Oh, I will not. Thanks, that was great. Not. I think we'll just delete that. It's a waste of people's times. I will not. Report and remove. Yes. Fuck you. I hate people with their unannotated links or whatever the right word is. What's up at fam? I don't know what that could possibly mean either. I just, well, you know, gotta do what you gotta do every now and then, you know. It does make you tired though. Watch the end of 589 and I retract my book statement. Oh, I guess he was suggesting a book. Not sure how. I assumed you hadn't basically heard most of it all before. Yeah, well, knowledge accumulation is a tricky business, you know, so there is a lot of stuff in the planet to know. I guess I would say I have attempted in my existence to find out the stuff that matters. But I always sort of had the how's it work approach, so I always kind of wanted to get to the basic mechanism, what makes it go. You know, it's like, you know, you just general knowledge kind of stuff, like people can figure out that, you know, car has to have a steering wheel and an engine and the wheels have to be connected to the engine, so you need the transmission thingy and, you know, some sort of understanding of the basic mechanisms. And so if you're doing that in your life, most of your life, and you're 60 years old, then yeah, you've probably picked up a lot of the basic mechanical functions. How about that young woman who lost some limbs to a shark? Yeah, well, lots of people do that, and who seems to be handling it remarkably well. Yeah, well, there's all kinds of disabled people that are all handy capable and all that kind of crap because they're endeavoring to persevere. And you know, life is sort of I mean, I can you know, think in terms of my own existence. There was a time when I was just ignorant, you know, I was just stupid. And so I did lots of things without calculating risk, without even worrying about possible outcomes. You just did this stuff and you didn't think about, well, what if I have a stroke? You know, what if my foot falls off while I'm at Disneyland? I mean, you know, this stuff, I just didn't think about all this stuff that could happen. That was realistic. I don't mean everything has to be a meteor falling on your head kind of stupid things to worry about. There's lots of real things to worry about. You know, and they're real. They're not fake things. And most people are just oblivious. They just tune that out. So they go to the beach and, you know, they don't learn anything from other people's mistakes, for one, you know. And they don't learn much, let's just say. They don't acquire, we just have to keep doing the same mistakes over and over again. We just seem to do that. I mean, that's the definition of an imbecile. Do the same thing, expect a different result. Anyway, one has to wonder if she's in shock. No, some people are just, no matter what happens, they're just going to keep rationalizing their life and saying, I'm a winner. So no matter how retarded they get, they're going to keep thinking, I have my big balloon. and we'll have a meltdown at some point. Well, we're all going to have a meltdown at some point, so you can't blame that. I mean, real life just gets to you. Eventually, most people, they turn into old, you know, scared farts. People are braver than I. Well, I'll concede that if bravery is ignorance, yes, then they are. You know, but I'm not too sure they're brave. I'm pretty sure they're stupid. So that's the difference. Holy fuck, what is all this crap? For sure, I'm already living the critical post-human life, or more accurately, living as if I was in a stage of humanity that precedes extinction by choice. Almost, for example, nobody thinks they are gradually making themselves redundant, even when logically you have to be, when you, for instance, choose to check out groceries with a machine instead of a person. Well, you really should choose the most efficient, you know. And this idea of making work for people is stupid. So you shouldn't just prop up, you know, would you suggest we should make, you know, that we should forget about efficiency and that we should go back to having blacksmiths and stuff, and we should all pay for that? You know, pay to have blacksmiths do it the wrong way? It was voluntary, since the machine only exists because you use it and or demand faster checkouts. So, well, the very idea that you have a society that requires people to do something unproductive to make a living is really stupid. You want people to do something productive. You don't want them to do something useless. You know, something a brick could do. You don't want them sitting. You don't want to pay. You want to pay humans to hold doors open. You know, door stops. I mean, come on. Sex robots now, and especially in the future, may have the same effects, which would be an anti-natalist dream come true, I should think, but conflicts strongly with anthropomorphic views of the majority has. Well, whatever. I don't know where you're going with this, but I think you're going the wrong way. A quote from, who cares, Stephen Hawking, fucking idiot. I mean, this is the idiot who thinks aliens would come here to eat us. That aliens would be so stupid they can make interstellar transport, and yet they're so stupid they can't figure out it's not nice to hurt feeling things. They can't figure that out. I mean, oh, come on. Please. In particular, was so concerned with human survival, advocacy, oh, that's stuff in quotes, interplanetary colonization, while cautioning against aliens and robots. Yeah, well, he was an idiot. I mean, how could he caution against robots when, if it wasn't for robotic functions, he wouldn't have been able to function? That he never stopped to ask whether the human species had even earned the right to survive into the next post-human stage. Well, there's going to be a post-life stage, too. So whether there's a post-human stage or whether there's just a post-life stage, there's going to be a post-stage. The universe will erase every single speck. I mean, it will be all erased, okay? I mean, every single little tiny drop of evidence that this ever existed is just going to be completely annihilated. It'll be nothing, nothing. All for naught. There will be no perfection created. There'll be no singularity that's permanent. There'll be nothing. Alright. That he never stopped to ask whether the human species had even... Okay, blah, blah, blah. His and our narcissism is so complete that we always start with how and never ask why. I don't know if it's that simple. We're just too busy eating to ask the question, should we? Yes, something like that. If you haven't already found a solution, you could just throw everything you don't want into boxes and put them in a household auction. Well, this is an old video before the move, I guess. Thanks for the useless advice to the past circumstance. Okay. Video game addiction was a big one for me. Yes, that's an interesting subject. Just how people are, we're just addicts. You know, and the fundamental function is we're addicted to our habits, and once you habituate to something that challenges you, or a game, or whatever, you know, you're just, you know, you gotta watch out for that shit. The ball Earth and space is a religion. The ball Earth, I mean, it's just, yeah, right. It's, you know, you just don't know what to say to people this fucking belligerently dumb. I mean, it's not even dumb. It's so delusional. I mean, to attempt to eradicate the 10 zillion pieces of evidence, you know, for the round Earth. Earth as a sphere in a universe full of spheres. I mean, it's just so fucking overwhelming evidence. And this idiot is, you know, oh, I have something relevant to say. I'm still an anti-natalist, though. Not for any good reason, I would imagine, because you obviously have no logic skills at all. You're so pathetically fucking stupid. Oh, shit. You're just so depressing. Alright, Gary, you should make a video about near-death experience. Fuck you. Tens of thousands of people had a near-death experience change their previous secular lives by 180 degrees. Prove it. Alright, prove that they were true atheists in any kind of meaningful way. And, you know, it's because anybody who's a rational person, okay, I mean, all you have to be is a little bit rational, understand that, oh yeah, well, in the middle of a near-death experience, that's a, you know, you can get dizzy standing on a ladder. You know, and it fucks you up and everything gets distorted, right? I mean, we know how easy it is to warp our perception, and, you know, our dream life is so disconnected from, you know, the whole suspension of reality thing, and it's just, you know, you're allowed to go in all kinds of wacky directions. Why would anybody take their delusional memories of a experience, you know, of dramatic disturbance to the physical structure of your body? Why would any rational person take that seriously? I mean, if you got winning lottery numbers from it, you know, if you got, oh, I cured cancer by having a near-death experience, God told me the answer. You know, if we got some sort of decent information out of these near-death experiences, but come on, you're going to show, oh, I saw a light and it was love. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. So what do you want me to say? Oh, here's some more evidence that people are deluded dupes. Yeah, I already have that evidence. People don't even know the word coincidence. They don't even understand that it's a concept, that it's inevitable that you're going to have bizarre coincidences just because of the number of permutations, the number of rolls of the dice. We roll the dice so many times that every now and then, yeah, one dice will land right on top of the other dice. It'll happen. Fuck. Anyway, people are just so pointless. Near inmendham, question mark. Oh, yeah, it's a possible title, I suppose. Alright, I don't think we'll bother doing more. Yeah, sorry to those who missed out. Yeah, I just don't have the will. But anyway, I will be more pertinent. Again, this really is the channel. I should just be doing the arguments. You know, there's the argument from you don't have consent, so it's automatically a game you can't play, but you can't get the consent of your victim. You really can't do laboratory experiments on somebody unless you have their consent, and you get no consent. And yes, the fact is you can't get consent from a fetus. It's true, you can't get consent. But the fact that you can't get consent doesn't mean that you still don't need it to justify what you're doing. You have no right to play with me, my welfare, to say I'm going to create you. Fuck you, you have to ask me first. Just the fact. Okay, and then you got all the arguments from how many victims can you make for your party, right? You're going to have a birthday party, and the collateral damage, right? How much collateral damage can you do to something before your war becomes unjustified? And so how many people can you kill? How many people can you torture? How many people can be losers in some kind of significant way for your little birthday party's fun? You know, how big a risk of annihilating some other kid driving, like you're driving to the birthday party and you're going to annihilate, a certain percentage of you are going to annihilate some little kid just driving to a birthday party. You're going to kill them for your party. Really, can you justify your stupid party? Because, you know, no, you can't. So if you do any kind of logic, it fails. And then, you know, there's lots of other arguments. The argument from, you haven't died yet, so how can you tell other people, it's okay, it's fun? You didn't do it. How do you know? How do you know it's worth it? I've seen people die in lots of horrible ways. You know, years of torment and anxiety and fret and fear and emotions, and they go blind and all kinds of horrible things happen to them. Terrible, scary, awful, blah blah. I've seen lots of bad ways to die. You're telling me it's all okay? Prove it. Because I don't see the evidence that demonstrates it's all going to be okay. I'm going to be one of the lucky ones. Well, says you. You know, prove it. Fucking bastards. Anyway. Yeah, so those arguments are really what I should just redundantly bash into the minds of what? The already converted. Oh, yeah, that's right. So what I really need, I have to get, you know, I have to get like some hot chick, okay? And I have to do like a puppet show or something. I'll, you know, do antinatalism back here, and she can do, I'm going to seduce you. I'm going to make you addicted to my little eyes blinking. And you'll keep showing up. And you'll hear that guy in the background. And he'll slowly but surely infest your mind full of fret and worry and horror and ruin your life. In the hope that he'll prevent the future from ruining even more lives. So it's true. It's inevitable that I will cause pain. But understand that I'm only doing it to prevent the bigger pile of pain. So, I mean, I wish there was another way to do it. I wish my job was like, you know, I was just in a Chinese factory, and to do antinatalism, all I had to do was like, okay, I put that on there. Okay. Put that on there. Okay. And just, you know, I just had some kind of simple chore to do that I just had to do over and over again. I can, you know, I like that. I mean, that's better than having to do this more complex thing of, you know, dangling vital parts and all this, you know. It's like I'm carrying the liver to the transplant surgery or something. I don't like having a job that has all this crap tied to it. You know, that requires me to be very careful. You know, it's like if you were just doing pen caps, but if you had a job and it was like, oh, you're handling, you know, nuclear bombs, and you're putting the trigger on the nuclear bomb or something. I don't want that job. So anyway, yes, I've made it all about me again. Sorry. I know, what does Gary want? It's really not the subject, but it's inevitably tied to the subject, because obviously I'm invested in my philosophical perception, so my needs are essentially the world's needs. It's the way it works out. So anyway, enough of a video. Thank you. I guess I should say some sort of thing like thank you for this 600 weeks of your participation. Appreciate the support. You know, whatever. You know, sometimes people are very, you know, sometimes, hey, you get a nice donation now and then, and it cheers me up a little. I suppose. It doesn't really cheer me up. That's sort of the wrong kind of phrase to use. Because it's more perplexing sometimes than anything else. You're just saying, well, what's their motivation? You know, anyway, not trying to make that complicated. Everything's complicated. See, that's the problem. It is all complicated, you know, in terms of the psychological crap. I just mean that people over the years, they're wishing me well and doing this and that, and that's an investment of their wishing. I mean, they could be throwing those pennies in some other wishing well, right? Or doing, you know, I mean, it's all useless, but it's, you know, it's the thought that counts. Yeah, it's really not the thought that counts, it's the end result, the product that counts. But regardless, yeah, so it's just this human feely touchy thing, you know, you end up touching people, and that's, I guess, what I'm saying. I've touched some of you in right ways, wrong ways, whatever ways. Yeah, so I'm sorry, or thank you. See, I don't know what to say. Depends on the circumstance, depends on the individual, what I have done by being here. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, so my brain is saying somehow you should be grateful. Grateful for what? You didn't burn me at a stake? You know, most of you didn't try to anyway. Some of you have tried. Yeah, I don't know what to say. So fuck that part. Anyway, it's been interesting, I suppose. I don't even know. They say you can't even say anything. You can't even say whether it was constructive. You can't say destructive. You can't say good, bad. You don't know. Who the hell knows? It depends on how it all turns out. So depending on how it all turns out, this was either spectacular failure or success. And you can't tell now, though. You just can't tell. So we'll see. Or not. We won't even find out. That's the sucky part. We won't even get to know. Some other asshole in the future will say, oh, Jay, and they'll think that, oh yeah, it was really fun, you know, being right. No, because we didn't get to know we were right. So that sucks too. Whatever. I'm just endeavoring to persevere in the best way I know. Yeah, so wait. So I guess the bottom line is that these interactions, connections, they're vital, precious things in the sense that they can, you know, they do affect us. So you have to say something to acknowledge some appreciation for the influence, or for the, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some analogy, like some little bird lands on a thing and goes tweet tweet and is pleasant and wishes you a good morning and then flies off. You sort of want to say, thank you. You know, and if he does something else, you know, shits, blah blah blah, then you want to say, fuck you. So do whatever you have to, okay, in response to, oh, it's 600 shitty videos, or it's 600 trying your best videos, or whatever. So I don't care. Whatever. That's all I can say. I hate all this fucking human interaction stuff. That's why I don't like interacting with people. It's too mushy. It's just not as obvious as this is the cap and you just put it on the end here, there, done. It's just not that simple. Human interaction. Alright, so until the next time. And such. Well, just save it, because I don't think I'm going to add anything. No, it's enough. So, till 601.